It's difficult to grow up in an environment where the only measure of your social worth is your physical appearance. But despite this defect, I still managed to have one friend who suffered from the same defect as me, ugliness. He had brown hair and brown eyes and a curious habit of licking his own nuts. The guy was an animal. He was a real animal. He was my dog, Max. But despite the relationship we had, despite how close we are, despite this bond that we had that held us together, one day Max decided he wanted to break free from those bonds. He wanted to go out and see the world and explore. He ran away. I spent hours and hours looking for Max, and every time I thought I'd see something turn a corner, I'd think it was Max, and I'd yell out, "Max, Max!" But it wasn't him. Finally, I found him near the exit ramp of the highway, and when I called out his name, "Max, come here, boy, Max!" he looked at me and he wagged his tail and he had his tongue out. Then he ran from me, then he would stop and turn around, and every time I called his name, he would wag his tail, then he would run a little bit. He just wanted to play. Finally, he took off running toward the exit ramp, and I screamed out, "Max, Max!" And Max ran out into the highway, and he was struck by a car, and it threw him through the highway. And it was like a fog had settled down over the highway. I couldn't see or hear anything but my friend. I ignored the sound of the cars honking their horns, screeching on brakes, swerving around me as I walked out into the highway, and I picked up my bloody and broken friend. The bone was sticking out of his leg, and I walked to the exit ramp, and I dropped down on the curb, and I started to cry. And right about that time, there were some office buildings around the vicinity of the exit ramp, and people were starting to get off work. Hundreds and hundreds of beautiful, well-dressed people were walking around trying to avoid me. Here I am, this dirty little black kid with this bloody and mangled dog sitting on the curb. And as I looked down on the ground and I was crying, a pair of shoes stopped in front of me. Inside those shoes was a white man who was well dressed. He had a blue suit, a white shirt, a gold watch. He smelled like cologne, and he said to me, "What do you need?" I said, "I just want to go home with my dog." He said, "I'll be right back." And he left, and I knew he wasn't coming back. Why would he? And as I was looking down, a car pulled up beside me and the window rolled down, and inside that car was the man. He said, "Sit in the front seat and you can put the dog in your lap." He didn't say a word to me as he was driving me home back to the ghetto about the street lights that were out. He didn't seem concerned or said a word to me about the groups of guys standing on the corner. He didn't say a word to me or show any concern about the dilapidated buildings and the trash on the streets. He showed no fear. He dropped me off at my home, and the last thing he said to me was, "Good luck with your dog." Well, Max didn't make it. But this memory was so important to me, I wanted to make sure that I never forgot it. I wanted to write it, indict it, and print it, paint it, stamp it, stain it, hew it, cut it, mark it into my consciousness so that I would never forget that even to this day, whenever I'm in a car, whenever I'm in any kind of vehicle whatsoever, I'm always looking out the window for a little white boy with a dog trying to get home.